the last couple days. So we have a revised application form that the neighboring property has signed off on because it was a little unclear if some work might have been on the neighboring property. So to be safe, we have sign off from the neighbor, Oak Ridge Dairy, and then we also have a report from the soil scientist, George Logan, who also had some recommendations. And also I visited the site along with Joe. Unfortunately, couldn't make it here this part of the meeting. Matt Moylan and Brandon from Oak Ridge, so we all had a group meeting out there to view everything. So that's kind of what's transpired since the last meeting. So I don't know if everyone got a chance to read the report from REMA.
Yeah.
But he provided some mapping and explained the project in photos, and so it's pretty detailed. And I'll feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so we did install 2 rows of
yes.
erosion control, like the upper layer and then like the second backup along the. There's about, I would say, 150 yards that we're just looking to cover up the banking roughly. Good ballpark.
Yeah, I'm not the best at calculating volume.
Yeah, each of the mounds is about 12 yards. It's like 12 mounds that we saw there.
Okay.
So it sounds about right.
Okay.
It's just, like I said, it's to cover up the stone. And when it's all graded off, we get some mulch, the larger wood chips from the dump, and that any erosion runoff and whatnot.
Yeah.
The only thing we may keep at the top is a little pile just to prevent anything from driving off there or anything like that. But
wood chips on that too.
yeah, it will all be covered in wood chips. Yeah. Same thing I did at my house is wood chips, and it's held up great.
Yeah.
No issues. I mean, it's not like it's small wood chips for your garden. It's 3-4 inches.
Like arborist chips or
yeah. So wetlands are delineated. All the work is being done outside of the wetlands in the upland review area. The only question was if you'd like me to plant some berry trees or whatever, and it kind of give you a permanent layout where the wetland line is. I may put some of those in depending on whatnot, but I don't.
Yeah, and that was in the soil scientist's report number 6. He gave a suggestion for mitigation of the clearing down and the filling on the slope. So he was recommending 36 shrubs, minimum height 3 to 4 feet, in clusters of 3 to 4 shrubs, like 6 feet apart or more, and then to make it 8 foot wide, like buffer zone. And he gave some suggestions of native plants that'd be suitable, like winterberry, red chokeberry, maleberry, and swamp azalea.
Yep.
Anyway, so that could be, a condition or however you want to handle that.
Like George Logan, who Joanne will vouch, I'm sure he's very reputable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It was a great report.
Yeah, as you see by his report, I'm sure it's one of the best or one of the better reports that you see come through here. I mean,
yeah, he's definitely knows his.
He's not cheap, but he does the job the correct way.
Yeah.
Now you know a lot more about that land.
I paid more for him than I did for the land.
Oh yeah, because you got it at that
the tax
sale.
Prior to the tax sale, I paid the back.
Oh, yeah.
So
there was a picture with the materials that you didn't. I didn't print it, but it looked like it was a very steep area. I assume that's what you're talking about, mulching.
Yeah.
So
was it this?
Yeah. So that just looks extreme. I don't know how far is the base of that from the wetland.
So the base of that is probably, I'd say, a good 40 feet. So I stacked the erosion control 20 feet off, and I did it on the road about 10 feet behind that. Did you send them that picture I sent you by chance?
I don't actually think I did.
But that whole property line is the slope like that, so it's not like it's anything out of the norm.
Yeah, it is very steep all along.
And
Yeah.
so what, the fill that you're bringing in?
It's all clean fill. It's already there. And Joanne even saw it. I mean, it didn't erode out a little bit that down at the bottom. It's been there for, 5 months now.
Is it dirt or is it?
It's like a gravelly type.
Okay.
Yeah, hold up good on the slope for sure. And that's what's going to get covered by the wood chips.
Okay, as long as there's nothing in it that could seep
No,
into the wetland.
Nope.
No, okay.
We'll put like a good 4 to 6 inch layer of the wood chips down there. I mean, that stuff's free, so we'll definitely cover that up.
Actually, I didn't print that out. I used to be able to get my Summers email on my phone, and the last couple days it just
Picture
been.
the erosion.
You've got that handy. That could be useful. Yeah, I don't think I printed it. I should print that to stick it in here later.
Is it these ones right here?
Those were he put in the straw wattles. I think
Okay.
I think George Logan came out just before he put in the straw wattles, but that might give you some idea though on if you slope in those.
What would you say? It's probably a 20-foot drop.
Like right there, you can see.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I didn't show the straw wattles, but you can see like the slope, and then this is probably before he actually put his wetland flagging down. It was a decent space before. There's another one. You could see here where well, now you can't really see the slope as well, but where there's these stumps just on the edge, like there might have been 1 or 2 trees within the wetland, but the rest I think were just outside of the wetland boundary, and then the slopes up here. So there's a little more upland than I expected along the slope, but it is a very steep slope. Pretty much all along there. Yeah, and you can see.
Here it is right here.
Oh, you got a picture on these pictures, like that whole
Oh, yeah, that's steep all around there.
The 2 rows of the
They must
straw.
have built this all up to farm, and they must have added fill, a century.
Yeah, I mean that's
And they
been
were-
farmland.
yeah.
And that just drops off, and then and then so this is where he marked the wetland boundary. There's what's this? 1 inch is 75 feet. So yeah, it probably is like 35, 40 feet or so. Corner, and then when you get out a little further, it's right up to the edge. But in that kind of landing spot, you have some room.
You could throw it.
Anybody have any other thoughts or questions?
What do you guys think about the other plantings?
I mean, it sounds like a lot. So
Yeah, they did. I thought he was just talking about a couple of berry bushes where I could get away for a few $100 now. 40,
I mean,
but
it's.
Yeah, 30.
yeah, that's a little.
I'm not sure. It would be more in an area that it would be more helpful. We don't normally have to do planting in the wetlands boundaries. Is there a certain area where it would be most
Benefit
useful?
more, yeah.
Yeah, I think Joanne, it's kind of boxed out, so you know where that peninsula is. So if we did that and then draw it back, like we box out the area, I think if we did. I just don't want to be wasting money on foolish plants, obviously. I mean, they'll never benefit. We have the overview site.
I'll just one.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe if I just
Blueberries
mark out here,
Get something
so that way we know it goes back to the
Bears all
slope,
over
and then
right
it
now,
goes back
so.
to the slope.
Yeah, that's true.
In that general area.
Yeah,
Plant some out in this
Is that
peninsula.
for fishing, no? Or is that just grizzly?
it might be good maybe like to do just a couple clusters kind of. but
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Let me show them what so from like this view, it's around too, but like you have the permanent markers every so
Right.
many feet, like maybe like clusters of shrubs like along the boundary.
And
But maybe it doesn't have to be 36.
Yeah, that's excessive.
and would it be more useful where there is that steep area, the whole area leading down to the west?
It's all really
All
very
looks
steep.
really
Yeah.
steep.
So the whole property line is steep, basically. So I'm thinking that peninsula I can mark out kind of. Then the peninsula goes back to each slope.
I mean, he would be suggesting 12 clusters of 3.
I was just going to put a
Or
couple.
9 clusters of 4, so maybe not many, but
3 to 4 clusters down there.
at least, yeah. And again, the clusters are 6 feet apart, so a cluster's gonna
Yeah.
cover.
I may even, he's
feet.
little ones. I may just go get some actual shrubs and do like 4 down there or whatever, mark the property line. That's more than doing clusters of small ones. But whatever you guys want is fine.
Probably be cheaper to do the little one.
Yeah,
Well, three
But I want to put in full
if you
size.
look though, 3 to 4 foot shrubs is a decent size in a nursery.
Yeah.
If you go bigger, you're looking at a lot of money per shrub.
Yeah, so if I get 3 to 4 down, do that at $30, it's, you know,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know
it's
if you
fine,
can
but-
buy. They don't retail. Or if you like with, business. Anyway, I don't know the requirements for them to sell to someone, but there's New England wetland plants in South Hadley, Mass, and they sell like small shrubs for more like $.
I could order through wholesale account. That's not an issue, yeah. Just-
No, blueberries are considered a wetland.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something you could
That's what,
get something out of.
George Logan is a bird guru or whatever. He's spent more
Into
time
wildlife.
listening to the chirping than marking the wetlands, but I'm sure.
Well, A lot about what's there by the birds.
Yeah,
so
no, absolutely.
This is a good thing.
So I got like 5 blueberry bushes behind my house that are still in pots I didn't plant. I could go throw those out there and get the hell off my property right now.
As far as being something more useful than putting in chokeberry and winterberry.
Yeah, absolutely.
well, those are useful to the birds, but you mean like useful to him, or
Right.
although birds will probably get to the blueberries before he.
Yeah.
But
Possibly. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I think if some of them were, it's good to have a diversity. But so if you have a few blueberries and one of your clusters is blueberries, I don't think I have any problem with that. Or yeah, but then having a couple other kind. But what are you thinking? Like 5 or so clusters, or
Well, that's still putting us up.
5 of
well, if you did 5 of 3, that'll only be like 15.
15.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Yep.
But I don't know. Whatever you guys.
I think that cuts it half. That seems like a good
Yeah.
compromise.
Want, so we don't hold it up over counts on blueberry bushes. or
Right?
whatever.
We're going to reconvene in a month to
Yeah,
decide
no.
how many
It's been-
plants you're going to.
And if they all die, I'd like to see them replanted because dead shrubs don't do as much.
Yep.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, you could say, to, ensure survivability for, 3 years or what. I don't know. Or even, or like 2 growing seasons or something. Make sure that.
Okay.
But,
I'll keep the control in place until the mulch is placed, so that way that soil stabilized.
yeah.
You can't decide.
can. Actually,
Yeah.
you have to now. We're
okay.
we've maxed out all our extensions.
Motion, but I have a feeling that Sydney's
want me to
already
do it?
written it.
Right.
Oh yeah, you've got our.
Sydney Flat. Oh, I'm reading it like it's the minutes. I make a motion to approve application number 8044 Watchfog Road, soil deposition and tree clearing in the upland review area based on the following. The commission finds that the applicant has submitted all necessary applications pursuant to section 211-7 of the regulation, including but not limited to section 211-7. Alternatives considered and rejected. The commission did not find the proposed activity significant, and the commission finds that the criteria set forth in section 211-10B have been met by the applicant.
Well said.
Okay, what about the rest of the motion?
With conditions.
With the conditions.
Oh, I'm sorry. With the conditions that there will be 5 clusters of plantings of 3 plants based on
George Logan's recommendations.
yeah, recommended.
And blueberries.
And what?
And blueberries.
And blueberries that you have at your house. With the survivability of 2 growing seasons. Do we agree on that? Okay.
Do you have a caliper? Or I didn't fully read it, but is there a caliper?
The what?
For like a size of the.
So that's the girth of the
Yeah.
base of the plant.
I don't think so.
Okay, we're not getting that.
No.
I mean, you're
I
not
like
building a house or.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns, discussion, Joanna?
No, I think that covers it. I appreciate the cooperation.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Motion carries. Okay.
So
You're all set.
am I good to continue on? I'll reach out to you when you want to do like inspection at the end, kind of.
Yeah, I saw your controls, so now, yeah, if you let me know when you're done, and then you're kind of at the edge of, you could still plant things now, once we get into summer.
Plenty wet down there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. If you don't the next month or so, you probably want to wait till fall, but let me know, and I can come out and take a look. And once it's stabilized, I'll want to see. Actually, now I can't remember erosion control if it was the kind or if it had like the plastic.
Just the mesh.
Okay. Usually, I just want to like see it once it's gone.
Yep. Yeah. With photos or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, let me know your progress, and I'll come back out. And
I mean, it's kind of something we're picking away at during free time. But
Yeah.
Now it's good time for me, unfortunately. But
yeah.
we'll try to get it done.
But at least you've got the erosion controls in place, so
Won't go anywhere.
yeah. Okay. And I'll officially your permit will be valid as of tonight. It might take me a little bit to do, and then technically we post a legal notice, and there's a 15-day appeal period. So it's like a work at your own risk kind of thing. I don't stop you, but just so you know, there's that 15-day.
Now, that appeal is only applicable to neighbors or anyone in the general public.
Usually it's the neighbors, right?
No, I
technically
think
it could be anyone.
Yeah, it could be
or-
anybody, but we've never had
It
anybody.
doesn't really ever
I
happen.
Yeah.
don't think anyone in town knows it's
No.
Oak Ridge and
Yeah.
whoever's listening to the
More
camera.
people would see it if it was like posted on the website, but the statute is, it's like has to be in the newspaper in like type 6 font that probably no one sees, but we just have to post it.
Yep.
But,
Not a problem.
but yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Brandon, do you want to go pick out blueberry bushes?
Next year, couple years.
No, because that means they died if she's coming.
Oh, I thought you said pick the blueberries from
Oh,
the
yeah, she can
blueberry.
do that.
No, my mother.
Good, how you doing? How you doing? Good, good,
I
George.
wish they could be dug up and moved, but they're so old.
Good,
They're
good,
really
good.
old.
Very good. You
But
bet.
he, my father-in-law tried killing him when he never came back.
The
So.
blueberries?
Could we skip the next one? Just, here.
That's fine. Or that one, I think we just to approve. We don't have like a presentation, I think. Up to you if you.
Well, why don't we motion to amend the agenda to continue on to new business?
I'll make a motion that we continue on to new business.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Application 804-194 Field Road, construction of patio and gazebo in Upland Review Area, Jeremy and Amy Lawson.
That's us.
Okay. So, technically we can only receive this application tonight, but, like in closure, the patio has been constructed, but not gazebo. I had brought this up kind of informally at the last meeting, because, the property owners had hired a contractor to do several things on their property, replace the driveway with a concrete one and put in a large concrete patio and redo some stairs and things like that, and thought all the permits were in place, but the contractor hadn't obtained permits, so they've been very cooperative, trying to resolve this, and I've been here. And the patio itself was kind of a gray area if it needed a permit. But then there was the issue of the gazebo, which technically is a structure and I have to on. So, and it was going to be closer to 20 feet to the wetland, so it needed to come here. So we figured the easiest thing was just to do patio and gazebo as one wetland permit application. So they submitted the application, and we've got photos too of the patio that we might have sent around last time, and then
updated.
And you also have photos.
Yes.
I probably should let you guys speak also, but I get carried away sometimes.
No, you're good. You just let me know what you want to know. I do have updated photos.
This is growing like crazy. It won't stop.
We just mowed 4
Good
days
growing
ago,
here.
and we leave for vacation tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, to get open. So, let me find them.
Yeah, because the old photos it hadn't been seeded yet. Now
It's like it's all filled in. That is the wetlands. We put in a garden along there. There has always been like natural growth that came up the embankment and into the yard, and we kind of put in like a garden with some forsythias. There's a weeping pussy willow. We've got some
Azalea. is there.
Yep, there's an azalea. There's tulips, irises. We did like a layer of mulch as well. So that kind of just gives a line of delineation between the two. But we didn't change any sloping
And we
or
did no,
anything.
there was no grading, and there's no erosion at all.
Yeah, it was putting the patio just where the ground was. So it didn't change anything. And like Joanna said, we contractor pulled permits, hence why we hired one. But he is new to working in Connecticut. He usually works in Mass. And so he was like, permit?
Right.
So,
and to be fair, like usually a patio doesn't trigger a building permit application. The driveway replacement requires a driveway encroachment permit for like public works to review, but they did do the call before you dig, and kind of that wasn't caught, I think, in town hall, because sometimes they'll see that and reach out. But so it was really more so the size of the patio and like how close it was to the wetland that kind of, well, probably best to get a wetland permit for it. And Amy also.
I'm not an engineer, so please forgive
Yeah,
my
well, okay, this is a good effort. Here, we could send one down that way. And
Good.
yeah.
I tried.
I'm impressed.
Appreciate that.
So we don't have a like wetland delineation, but it's kind of clear because there's just a slope down. So basically, is the top of that slope, and there's a tree just at the edge of that slope. So Amy measured about 12 feet from the corner of the patio to that tree.
And at the bottom of that is our well. So
like super crazy. I'm that lady who doesn't put any chemicals on her yard or anything like that. Like my gardening is all organic because that's my well and it feeds my family, and so I'm very aware of what goes there. So, yeah. So it's something that's important to us.
And the gazebo, while that's the thing that does trigger the building permit application, it's just going on the patio, and it's shown in the corner.
It's one of those Costco ones. Just the
It's the same
Yeah.
one I have.
like
the
yeah,
yard
the,
swell
the
or
yardsy. Yeah, the
12
yardsy
by-
one.
This
Yeah.
one's 12 yourself, although we do have a contractor who
We're
We're
not building it.
And even that's kind of gray area to get a permit because it's like
he's
a
already
temporary.
said that.
Yeah, to make it.
Yep, we just wanted to
Yeah.
cross our T's and dot our I's, and
Yeah.
Have you been living there?
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. We figured we were either gonna make it nice or move, and we decided to
We
stay.
decided to stay, and
I
Invest
lived
in
on,
a house.
I grew up on Field Road.
Whereabouts?
oh,
The Red Cape.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. I know where that's.
So the
Yeah.
shed got really close to the.
The shed, I don't actually think the shed's that close to the slope, but
the shed permitted.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that
I
was
went to you
through.
for
that was previously
that-
done. But
yeah,
I remember coming out to that, like,
that was in 2018. That
I was
went
going to say that
up.
was a while ago, but I don't think it was actually, it wasn't right on the slope.
No. So it had the rock edge around it, and then there's enough land for me to get our riding John Deere behind it. And then you have the edge, which even then it's not right at the edge because there's all kinds of
Yeah. It doesn't get wet until further
ditches
down.
and
Yeah.
there's just natural that we leave, and then it drops.
Yeah.
So
It's like wider back.
yeah.
Probably
Yes.
has that on.
So you got that from the Vedettes?
What was that?
The what?
Who did you
It's
buy
hard to
it
see
from?
on.
Oh, the shed.
Cloder Farms.
Cloder Farms. Cloder Farms.
No, I mean the house.
Oh, Mary Lou Hastings.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was Vedette's daughter.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
lived there for a long
But it doesn't look like the same house
shed I had
anymore.
done a minimal impact.
I was in
From
that
before,
house
'cause it was
years
like-
ago.
Yeah.
At least
You
25
wouldn't
feet
recognize
from
it
the
now.
wetland.
Probably not.
Yeah.
At least in 2018.
We
I
had
don't know.
Because it was all the Petoskey's.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Because my niece lived next door.
Okay.
I think so.
Ryanson.
Yeah,
And we
okay,
can't approve
yeah.
it till next.
And my
Yeah,
aunt,
and then they lived next door to us for a little while.
yeah,
Okay.
my aunt and uncle had built next door.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did
They
know-
were really
yeah,
nice.
we
Yeah,
did
they were
know
really
that.
nice.
Yep.
Kind of before they left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they went to Granby.
Yep. Yeah, they Jimmy
always
and
the
Pete
bumper.
were actually our daughter's first visitors. Yep, they were the first people that we left her with, and yeah, we were buddies like that, constantly playing outside together.
Yeah. She's in college now.
Many years ago.
Ours is
Well, that's
going
only
into
the
her
first
senior year next year, and I'm like,
And you probably still have packing to do tonight, but
I am.
packing, okay.
Yeah.
I am done packing. I just have morning you leave toothbrushes. And,
Yes. Well, that's
And you
good.
still need
I'd be
to
up
get-
all night, but
There's nothing more that we can't approve. this
yeah. So unless
tonight,
anyone has concerns, questions to be
Yeah.
done before next meeting,
then we're all set.
otherwise it sounds like, up to you. You probably don't even need to come next month, but you're always welcome.
we'll be.
But they can't
know where we're
technically
at
approve
now,
it tonight, so they can't actually approve it till the next
Yep,
meeting.
yep,
But
and you did
Yeah.
tell us that. So we did
Yeah.
know that. So that's
but
okay.
sounds not a lot of concern.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Awesome.
just
Right.
feeling excited about it. Our gazebo up, so we have some shade.
Because it's starting to get hot out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that one, the contractor, he's already submitted for the permit, and
They're just waiting on it.
yeah, and I did message him because about the incomplete thing, and so I had let him know what you had told me, and so I was like,
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that's.
So-
Yeah,
I told him
it's a building official.
because
Yeah,
I paid him to take care of the permit, so he can figure out.
what the building official needs. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Enjoy
thank
your
you.
vacation.
Thanks.
so much.
Okay, so we can skip over number 2 at the moment.
Yeah, number 2, they're running late.
Okay.
So
Okay.
You might be in luck and get to talk to us sooner than we thought. Oh, as he walks in the door.
Oh, there
Just
he
in
is.
time.
You're up
Promise
on. You're
me.
next up.
Oh,
Next.
yeah, we didn't actually make a motion yet, so you walked in
Post.
just as we got to you. Sorry to give you.
15,000 in the last
there.
4 days.
Wow.
4 days.
Wow.
At least you got it in.
Busy.
Yeah.
You made good. Thought it'd be 8, so you're 7:30. That's great.
Okay.
So, anyways, we have all these cows now, and we have no place for them to live. So, for the past 2 years, these cows have been out in the trees, which there's not a heck of a lot able to get into. So, for the last couple of years, we've been working with the Natural Resources and Conservation Service, the USDA group that works with farmers to make sure that everything is done with waste management included and all these different things. So we have this large facility putting up for all of these breeding cattle and their babies. We're here today to get approval from the Conservation Commission to approve basically the NRCS, the USDA has approved. Housing building.
Construction of livestock.
Are those milk cows?
No, those are all beef. See all the ads everywhere?
Uh-huh.
For all the beef, we not only have beef, we have beef sticks and we have hot dogs.
I guess things just not quite.
It's all over. It's in Summer's neighborhood thing. It's on there right now.
Oh, okay.
And it's been.
Good.
So yeah, so
Summer's
we're,
neighborhood thing.
yeah. So we're getting,
I stay far.
if you go to a bunch of different restaurants, now I started serving at J. Rigo's, a whole bunch of them. Geisler sells our hamburger, and so and the Modern Milk delivers it. And now we have, because we can't make enough to keep up with Modern Milkman. I thought they delivered milk and cheese. So now they're delivering all our hamburger everywhere.
Wow.
1 pound blocks.
That's good.
Wow.
So
That
these
hence
guys
why you
all
have extra
grass-fed?
cows.
Yeah. The reason we're here is because it's within the 100 of the wetland brook, and like I say, Natural Resources, their whole thing is about protecting water resources and all that. So they basically approved the design and everything, and the technicalities. We have to make sure that you guys approve it.
And they're providing government funding because it's quality, like a natural resource.
Yeah, that's what they
enhancement.
do.
Yeah.
There's like
Right?
Yeah.
yeah,
So
and there's storage in this building. There's like a whole section of that storage, so that's where they stay all winter, and that way it doesn't leach into the brook and get everywhere. So you
Yeah,
have
the
to jump
cows won't
through a
be in
bunch
the
of
brook.
hoops, people, and do things a little differently than you normally would in order to protect sources up there.
If this is
This is a little better
agriculture,
than the
is it
plan I sent
a
around.
use of right?
What's jurisdictional ruling?
Yeah. So.
And that's the building.
So then we go back to our permitted uses as of right. So grazing, farming, gardening, on and on and on. And then, it clarifies some things that are excluded, like if it were the erection of a building directly related to the farm operation. But in this case, if you find that it's directly related to the operation, it's allowed to be within 100 feet of the wetland or water course as a building related to the farm. And opposing any clear cutting.
No, it's in a
within
it's in a hayfield.
Yeah.
It's in a current hayfield.
And no filling in the wetland. They're actually going to cut into the slope and have the building like kind of set into the slope. It'll kind of be like a retaining wall.
Wall of concrete. It's basically going to build right into the hill.
You mentioned too, it's going to get the cattle property.
Well,
which
it's
will
going to
help.
get
I
them
mean,
in the
that's-
winter time when everything's in the brook. There's
Yeah.
storage. That's the whole purpose of them funding or helping fund this, is to basically get them in that building, and they have a storage for like 6 months worth of manure where you just pile it all up and stink everybody up on Parker Road out. But no, it's far enough away from Parker Road.
We're
Shouldn't
live
bother.
on YouTube, by the way. No, just kidding.
Are you going to be like Ellington?
No, that's liquid stuff. This is all bed. This is all bedding pack. So basically
It'd be-
compost material that you're making
Yeah.
out of it's going to be mixed with straw all the time.
I have to throw that in.
Just vote on this.
Yeah, we can do it tonight. Yeah.
All right, so action to approve the application as a jurisdictional ruling. Or
Yeah,
however you word it.
permitted use as of right.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve application 805-407 South Road, construction of livestock barn upland review area as a permitted use of right at Pleasant View Farms.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Guess you got
Free
everybody else's
hamburger for
approval.
all.
I expect a delivery.
Oh, you should have made a condition.
Come down to the golf center because they're serving it there in the afternoons.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You're all set.
Well, I gotta take a shower and
You
go
got
lay
our
in my
stamp.
chair.
Yeah, take
See
a
you,
break.
and thank you.
Perfect
See you,
timing.
Joanna. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care, yeah.
Well, at least that was quick. That was a simple one.
Uses his time well, doesn't he?
Okay.
Yeah,
What's
do
that?
He didn't waste 30 seconds in here.
Okay.
Um,
28 Gulf Road, possible subdivision of land. Daniel Halpin.
Okay, so what we don't often have like informal discussions, so kind of give a little preamble. This they're considered possible application, so we don't want to get too into
Conditions and all that.
yeah, it's kind of a fine line, but just a general. They want to sort of explain what they have in mind, and we can think through generally what like the process would look like, and help what path to pursue, I guess. If that kind of. But yeah, feel free to come right up and.
What's her name?
Bushnell. COOPE.
Rick is Z-U-L-I-C-A, so it's. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Andrew Bushnell, licensed professional engineer and Bushnell Associates. So I've been working in this parcels for some time now. It's a farm inherited from the grandfather, correct? And existing house on it now to the north. It doesn't show on this right now. Tonight we're looking at the southerly end and what would be a new lot for they can both live on the. Live here and continue to run the farm as they are now. We'd be doing a 2-lot re-subdivision. It's about 2 acres plus or minus. That's a little subject to change. We're working on the whole area of it and the exact acreage. There's some discrepancy there, but in general, this is the southern property. You can see the town line, the Summers Stafford town line runs through it. So it's a little unique in that situation. But you can see where we have a proposed house. We've dug test pits there, and for the primary reserve area, those all passed well. And so we have a site for a new lot house site. And just point out real quick before I forget, one of the other things is the existing house. It doesn't show a reserve area for that as part of the health code, the B100A. So that would be where we share behind the barn. That would also be in a regulated area. That's a case that exists and needs a new septic system. That was the best place we could find about the only place we could find for the existing house. So that would be part of our request for a wetlands permit. The bigger request would be for the new driveway for the existing house. You can Rick flag. Yeah, for the new house. Yeah.
Yep.
Rick flagged the out there. You can see, and we located them and plotted them on here.
So part of the land is in Stafford?
Correct. See that there's an angle there along Gulf Road. Yeah, part of it's in Stafford. So we would also be looking for permits from Stafford too, because we'd be doing, work in the little bit of the wetlands and the regulated area in Stafford. So yeah, so it'd be Stafford permitted thing too. But Dan can explain. It's going to be Dan's house, the new house, and Brian's existing house with the barn, but they'll still keep working the farm together and sharing for farming purposes. But Dan, you want to explain why we'd like to do this driveway?
Yeah,
Where
we're looking to do the separate driveway. Me and my were real close to our grandfather growing up, and we pretty much grew up on this farm. The green outline here shows the hayfield and the barn, and my grandfather got this place and kind of painted a picture and made it how he liked it, and he enjoyed his farm. He raised 4 kids there, raised me and him there, and we're trying to make the separate driveway not really kind of go through the farm and change anything how it is there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. It's idyllic. I think the second driveway would allow the farm to
Keep its
appearance the way it is,
Keep the
and
farm.
prohibit any utility lines or anything take away from that. And there's traffic going in and out of the farm. It is does have a tax exemption in the state of Connecticut, and there's hay and there's cows there, so. The second driveway would certainly be a help for that, to not impede any traffic in and out of the farm.
But this driveway does go all the way back, the one that's existing. It shows it as going all the
Yeah,
way back.
it does. It goes. Yeah, I mean, that would have to. I mean, it's not a driveway that's up to town standards at this point, so there would have to be work done on it. It's more of a farm driveway, I call it, I guess. It's not a residential driveway. It wouldn't meet the specs for a residential driveway the way it is.
It has to be 10 wide. It doesn't look too far off from that, but
No, it would need some gravel base. It would need some widening and spots.
Well, but you'd be doing the same and be starting from scratch on the new one, so you would just be improving what's there versus starting. And that's quite an impact to the wetland there to just put it straight through a big wetland.
That's going to be a hard sell.
I think the other part is, separate the residential use from the farm use and not to combine them too, not to.
Yeah, certainly. If the property were to be split in the future, in the hopes, farm, the second house, may interfere with the farm business, which would certainly be a detriment. We realize, we may impact wetlands, but the conservation easement or maybe the different whatever would make this work.
I mean, that's going to involve and digging and all kinds of stuff in the wetland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
what's the square footage? Do you have? Oh, it might have been on here.
Yeah, there's and the new. Yeah, so wetlands disturbance would be 4,375 square feet, and upland review area would be about 8,688 square feet. We would be able to reduce that, at least the wetlands disturbance. One thing we had discussed with the town planner was getting a variance. Part of the issue is the way the zoning regs are written. If you have a barn that houses, which this one does, the property line has to be 200 feet from the barn. So we may look for a variance from that, maybe 25 or 50 feet, variance to get the line from the barn, and then the driveway would push to the north, get where the narrow narrowest. So we would, you know, if we were able to get that variance, we have, you know, we reduce the amount of impact.
The driveway has to be 200 feet?
No, the property, the green line, the proposed property line, that has to be 200 feet from the barn. Keep the driveway on the lot, you know, on the proposed lot, pushes it south. So we might be able to push it back to the north if we could get that.
When you're looking at other variants, like how you're showing the proposed property line now, you wouldn't have the frontage in Summers, or would you? No.
No, we wouldn't have enough frontage. No, we wouldn't have any frontage in Summers. Yeah, right.
Which that seems like I mean, it's you here, but that might be to have zero frontage in Summers and get a zoning variance for that might be the bigger issue rather than the barn setback. But just because that's like always seemed like one of the main issues in Summers because they really want flags and lots and that's kind of how they try to prevent it. But to have no frontage at all in town, that just could be. But again, I'm not the zoning. It just seems like that would be problematic. So what I was we had a staff just consultation, the zoning enforcement officer Jen and I with these gentlemen minus Rick Zulik, and so we were trying to talk through some of the issues. And this plan's been changed a little bit since I saw it, but where I kept getting stuck in this cycle in my brain, a couple of you have kind of clued in on that. In general, if there's an alternative that would cause less impact to wetlands, that's always preferred. But in this case, an application with significant direct to wetlands likely would trigger a public hearing, finding that's a significant activity. Because we honestly, it's very rare that we see direct disturbance like this proposed in the last couple decades or so likely we'd have a public hearing. And then the trouble is if there's a feasible and prudent alternative, i.e. an existing that basically gets you to the proposed house location, improved, then they literally can't approve the application. There's a feasible and prudent alternative. When I tried to work through like how the process would play out, I couldn't work my way out of there short of, a span bridge. I mean, that's a wide area to span. Anyway, that's kind of where I was at and where I was. And between Jen's zoning concerns and my wetland concerns, the guidance was I didn't like the aesthetics. I struggle with it just because, and I know some improvements would be had to be made to the driveway, but there are driveway through there, like that still could be gravel. So it didn't seem like a huge change, and technically we don't have hardships in wetlands like it does, but anyway, that's kind of where I struggled with how we'd have the process play out. And it's different when we're proposing a subdivision and an existing lot. Like if we've had like an old subdivision, an existing lot. Actually, we on the agenda something I was going to talk about in staff report. An old lot that was part of an old subdivision, typically before statute or days where maybe the review wasn't as robust, where we're kind of stuck with a lot that requires crossing a wetland. At that point, there's not a lot of options. You sort of have to allow some wetland disturbance if it's going to otherwise make the property unusable, because that would sort of be a taking. But to create a new lot that requires wetland disturbance, we would avoid. If this was a subdivision, like a 10-lot subdivision, and then a lot requiring a wetland crossing, you'd avoid that and try to make that the conservation, or that'd be where you try not to build a house. So I struggle with this on a few levels, but some of which you were kind of keying in on already. But
How much of the land are we seeing on the map here?
Probably about half of it. I do have. I have the aerial if you want to see it.
And so from here back is wetland?
I have this, although the property line's not correct. I did it in red. It's
yeah, this is
GIS is off a little bit.
On this version I have, it's basically the same map he's got, but see where the topo and the wetland line carry on beyond that property line? That's an accurate property. The topo seems to be correct, but the property line on the GIS is quite off. So,
And these are the wetlands right here. Right?
well,
You might only see
that's off too. Yeah, that's not accurate to that scale. But what Rick had delineated on here would be much more accurate. I haven't walked the property, but I trust Rick's delineation. But time to an application, I'd walk it and take a look anyway. A sanity.
So this is all wetlands, and then beyond it, woods?
Well, yeah, you can see the tree line. There's the open field, and then the woods, and then we abut up against the State Park there.
Joan, this is a broader plan, and this the proposed driveway that might be a little different on here, but this is the whole property, and it shows the Stafford Summers line. And the existing house is in this far north corner.
Yep.
And then there's a pond, but yeah, it's wetlands all along that west side, all along the ridge until you get to the existing house.
But
Basically,
that's all wooded wetland over there.
Yeah.
and like the actual proposed house location seems reasonable. How you get there and how you divide the property, if it's reasonable to do so.
So is this in the picture? Is this cabin that's, because it looks bigger?
I don't think you can really see the
I mean,
cabin.
it looks like there's a structure here. It's almost like we're...
Oh.
No. I don't know what that's picking up back there.
Just be a snow.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at mine. Looks like there's still snow through this.
okay.
Yeah.
Mixed it.
Because they fly it in the spring in like March or it's probably 2000.
It was kind of bare.
Interior doesn't even show the house.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I forgot too. I had started to look into this like when we first had talked, and then I think I forgot about it until I just saw a remnant of me trying to map out the watersheds, because it never comes up in town, because in summers we basically have no water company watershed land except tiny bit in Schnipsit, and I think onto your property. And so never have we had to, there's in the statute and in our regs that there has to be consultation with the water company with a wetland application. I had to do that like ever, so I think this might trigger it. I have to look at it in more detail. But if this wetland, if any portion of this wetland extends into I don't know what that process, because we never have to do it. But anyway, that was just reminding that when this fell out. So I'll have to circle back to that eventually. But yeah, it's like almost, it's like borderline. So
I would say we're running north, so we're running away from this reservoir.
I agree.
okay.
Yeah.
If you get further back, you hit a corner where it's Summer, Stafford, and Ellington Town. You got that far back, then maybe you get, but that's further like southwest.
Yeah, it's weird because they showed this like connection here, and I wasn't like entirely, but we can get that more later. But it's just funny because it doesn't ever come up in town. I'm like, oh, will this be the one time we have? But not that it really impacts this conversation. But I'm sorry to get us off on a tangent, but it's a tricky
Where
one.
do we go for?
So I think they're looking for some guidance on what I guess or
I would say, personal opinion, I would not be in approval of this new driveway. I would use the other one. I mean, that's what our job is here, is to have the least impact on the wetlands and the impact. And it's also to care for your land. It's not like we don't care about your land of it, but I mean, the wetlands is part of that. That's my opinion.
There's a home right here that did cross that in 2007 in Stafford, the same wetland.
And I don't know if that was one of those like an existing lot or like division, because that really does make a big difference. Like if there's an existing lot and the only way to access it is to cross a wetland, to deny crossing the wetland sort of like a taking of that land. So like if you didn't have currently a way into your property, that'd be one thing, but to create a new lot where it necessitates a wetland is like a step further than that. It's like creating a problem that doesn't exist currently. And then, to your benefit, there is already this crossing, so whenever this driveway was put in, the damage is done, and all this existing crossing have like this option that makes it way simpler for wetlands approval while you're improving that driveway. So, I see it as like a positive. You don't want to,
Yeah, we just have connection to, I guess, the property is why we're going through all this trouble.
Yeah.
Because anybody else would just
Use
go right to the
road,
center,
yeah.
not.
That's kind of weird.
Can you put something in the cell of it that there's some contingency that they can't do X, Y, and Z if they buy it? I mean, it's just an option.
Oh.
I know that I used to share a driveway, and I know what you're feeling.
That's not.
It's not much of a driveway. I mean,
No, but they would, when they have to share 2 lots, they would both be using that one. Right?
not the houses, barn.
Oh, the barn and the, okay.
Yeah, the barn and
this-
We've heard horror stories.
The
It
other
does show
lot- the
as
other
a
lot's
driveway,
already
and I
has
know
the house, so
on paper it looks a lot worse than it is. The driveway that I used has really been used to access the barn and to get into the back. It's really a farm road. As I recall, when I came in there, it was early spring, and I had to use 4-wheel drive to get in there. It's a lot of improvements. Even the I think Andrew can, the culvert that's under the existing driveway got to be replaced, right? I mean, that's
Probably that's questionable.
I think it's like a old stone. Do you know what kind of culvert's under there? It didn't look like much to me. I think it might be just a stone culvert. So, you know, I think it's important to understand that driveway is, it's not as good as it looks on paper.
I lived in northern Vermont for 18 years. I know dirt roads. We had one paved road in the whole town.
Yeah.
Also going to
Yeah.
have to do a significant amount of clearing to get that new driveway in. It looks like from where the tree line is, it looks like it's all in the wood area. So that's not going to be any easier than fixing up the farm road, from what I can tell.
I think maybe the biggest issue with sharing the road as a farm road and a residential driveway is the conflict that could come between the two. You know, usually when you have a shared driveway, it's for house, it's not for farm use and a house and owners too. You know, I mean, if it's the same owner, okay, but technically we have two different owners here.
I mean,
So, you know.
I've probably driven by that hundreds of times. I've never seen more than cows, and I've never seen a tractor or anything there. So I'm just wondering what use farm road is going to be getting as opposed to a private driveway. And I could be wrong, but I mean, I've been driving that road for
Who's behind Chuck
2
Gate?
years now.
Yeah, everything's, most of the tractors and everything.
Okay, so you still
They're
got
there.
part of the
Gate,
driveway.
yeah.
Part of the driveway is still.
One option we talked about too, like if you didn't want to share it all the way, would be to branch off, like once you're past the crossing, to kind of branch off and go along the tree line, like along the edge of the field.
Well, that's a good idea because you've already got the wetland. So if you don't want to share the driveway and most of the work is beyond the barn, then just put the rest of the driveway
And just because we're talking about, I was just gonna show them just the Google Street View, kind of the gate and the. Hopefully, this battery doesn't. I unplugged it, but I know you said you drive by it, but if anybody wants to see that, I didn't print that out, but that's what's there. I'm sure it could use some.
I actually have a photo of that in my house.
Oh.
My son stopped and met your grandfather years ago.
really?
Oh, really?
And asked if he, because it's so beautiful.
You see a lot of people doing that.
And I asked him, which he didn't do, but I said, you need to go back and take a shot all four. I think he's got one or two. Yeah,
On the same token, and this might be just my perspective, as you talk about his stewardship of the land and the beauty of it, to me, creating the disturbance through the, farmers farmed every bit of land that was at all usable. So wherever you see a line that's, been there, it's that was deemed kind of unusable. And to through that area that's been left alone and kind of this tree line from the road, this installation of the farm from the road, just to me it just seems like this much more glaring disturbance to the view of the farm. But I'm obviously going to come at it from a different perspective, and I appreciate it's your family farm from generations, but it's just like a different kind of perspective, I guess. But because it's a flat enough driveway that I have to pave it or anything like that. as long as it's under 10%, which is well under. It looks very, very flat. Gets a little slope up in the middle, but if you were to branch off, it'd be even flat, and you could keep it gravel just with some improvements that don't seem like they'd really, with some silt fence, shouldn't disturb the wetland. Just makes it tougher.
When
Now we
my
have two
father,
options.
when my father and my uncle had they shared a driveway,
Oh yeah.
and the best thing you could do, without any trouble, is if this is a driveway, you own that side, and he owns, go on the other side. Say this was the driveway. This house would own this side of the driveway, and over here the driveway of this house.
The driveway isn't shared by two houses, though.
I thought that was one of the
just
issues
no,
about.
It's just saying
The
it's
farm and
shared,
the house.
shared for farming and access to the house.
Yeah.
That's the sharing.
Front of the barn or back of the barn?
It goes behind the barn.
Alongside.
It keeps going.
Yeah. So it's the back side of the barn?
Yeah, well, it goes. The barn is.
The existing goes in front of
The barn is up here, so the driveway goes there, and then it goes. This is the proposed house, but they wanted to put a different driveway into the house and not use the farm, not use the farm driveway. And that's what Joanna suggested, using the existing one to get over the wetland instead of building a new one through the wetland. This one's already here, and then maybe not sharing it past the barn, but building it.
And there's a field there, so they'd want to not go right through it. So I thought, a compromise could be hugging the edge of the field, so it would be in the upland review area, but that's a very reasonable kind of compromise. But to not protect the field seems to be.
You can have trouble with it too if you go into the wetlands in the winter and stuff. Just
Frost heaves.
frost and stuff. Say on something like gravel and deep gravel.
Okay. I don't know if there's any other questions you have, or it's not application yet, so we've kind of given you an idea of what our role is and kind of what we need to look at. And I have a lot of other issues to deal with anyway, and but I don't think there's I don't think there's anything else that we can offer at this point. So is that these all?
Oh yeah, just this set was.
I think you've got another one with the colored ones on the bottom.
But other questions are.
You've got that section in yours.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe I'll just keep and then give this one.
All right, thank you for your time.
And do appreciate the diligent work, though, you're doing and having these discussions in advance. That does a lot.
Okay, I'll hopefully be back sometime soon.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Okay. Let's stay in the, just to finish it up. Jurisdictional ruling application 0732 Mason Lane Forest Restoration within wetland Griggs Ascending Tree Care.
So, what was it?
No?
Right. We've got number 4 also. Do you want to do that one?
The Maple Street one.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I thought we weren't doing that
Well,
tonight.
I guess I could just say. So we are receiving it. They're not here to make a decision, and they just dropped it off yesterday. So I haven't gotten to review it. So I told them we would just receive it, and they're going to give a presentation next month.
Oh, okay.
So it probably won't really speed up the process, but it's technically a receipt.
Well, now we have more time to research it.
Right now you can review everything.
Okay, so you went up to Mason Lane today, right?
Yes, and the forester wasn't able to make it today, but I was able to have a conversation with them this afternoon.
Because that's one that sounded like easier to see than to read on paper.
Yeah.
Because there was mention of one tree, then there was mention of a bunch of trees, and I was kind of confused.
Yeah, so basically, another kind of gray area. They had reached out to me originally they reached out to me a couple weeks ago about taking down one large pine tree, like right on the wetland edge. And so we talked about that, and I told them they were going to access it from higher up and not put heavy equipment into the wetland. They were going to use like a crane and pull stuff out. And I told them, okay, you don't need a wetland permit for that one tree, even if it's wetland, if you're going to do it this way and not disturb the wetlands. But then they let me know, well, there's a little more we want to do. So I said, okay, why don't we try to visit the site together? And we couldn't get it. So just so they wouldn't get held up, I submit for a jurisdictional ruling, for like conservation forestry activity. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong. I took out the Lindy Farms. That was my Mason Lane one. Anyway, so the plan they submitted, I got some on the phone because it was all confusing, like how they drew it. But zoomed out. But I think they were using wetland line as the stream because the stream kind of followed that pattern. So they drew in relation to what they thought was the stream. But the stream's really, it's not called out on here, and it's like here based on the like where this like V is. It follows that, and then over here. So their drawing is like shifted, but basically in this on the side of the stream closer to the house. I know this is a mile away from everybody. Here's the house, and then there's wetlands, and then there's stream. And so there's down from the house to the wetland, and there's a retaining wall, and on the house side of the stream, it's mostly all like nice ferns, and there's trees in there, but there's some invasives coming up. There's like some barberry and some multiflora rose, and then there's more invasives, and so they want to come in and cut invasives, and they want to do like cut some saplings to kind of encourage certain to grow, and it's basically a forestry operation, not forest harvest, but forest enhancement. And so invasives removal and like selective, and they're not going to use any heavy equipment. They're going to climb and like prune, and they're going to use hand heavy equipment except for
Sounds like
removal.
an awful lot of work.
I know, yeah.
Why don't we get more applications like this?
some of that vegetation grow back if they're just cutting it down?
Yeah, I know when I cut and I didn't get into, but when I cut invasives in my property, I'll then like paint the stumps with glyphosate. So I don't like to spray it, but I like brush and paint the stem so it like kills the roots. So they're just talking about using like a weed whacker, brush cutter, handheld things, chainsaw, and then they're gonna like climb trees that need to be pruned to any like hazardous branches. There's no heavy equipment aside from like the crane to get that big pine out of there that they're gonna get from higher ground. So it was kind of one of those gray areas. It didn't need a permit, but I thought it's not enough work where probably worth a ruling because it's more than just the one tree they initially asked about.
You might get a call.
Right. I told them this is good because let's say just a crane shows up on their property to do something and the neighbors all call and I get I get a hold of them and everybody's excited. But now I could just say, oh, I know exactly what's happening.
About selectively removing saplings a waterway. That just sounds like a wee clearing down to the stream. No.
Yeah, I did them like
and flushing out stumps. How do you do that without?
Where's it say flushing out? Oh,
isn't that part of this?
Oh, was that
flush out any remaining stumps?
Ah. Oh, this was the quote they sent to the guy, I guess. Okay. So did they have, flush cut. It's flush cut. He said to me they would put them very low to the ground, but not pull the stump.
Okay.
Because I asked pine tree, because a pine tree is like right real close to the stream. And huge pine tree with just a little bit of green at the top. And
then what about declining hemlocks if they're going to remove? I'm assuming that's not in the wetland. It says in the upper left line. Because that sounds like trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think
that's out of the wetland.
Okay.
But I could follow up with them and because like if you do rule something exempt, conditions on it, but you could, probably specify what you're considering exempt and what you're not considering exempt. Say, like this amount of work we consider exempt, but it's clear cut along the stream, that's not exempt. Yeah, and I did the forester. They're not going to try to convert anything to lawn or make it like park-like keep it natural. And he's like, they like the ferns, they want to like promote that, and they're not on. They're just wanting to sort of, people like to tidy things up. Makes me cringe a little bit because then I picture like a park, but
park.
Yeah. But
so sending tree, they're not like loggers. They call themselves arborists.
Yes, yeah, yes. I don't think it's a anything making money on forest trees.
Same thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's like they're selling wood or anything like that.
Where's Mason Lane?
That's
I don't know where that is.
off of a Battle.
A new development there?
I think Rick Lino did back like.
Mason's part of that.
What's
One
the other
between
street that's
Battle and
attached?
190.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I'm like, wait, I was just there this afternoon. My brain
Yeah,
isn't.
that's what I mean.
But
How did you get there?
Between that.
yeah, I did. I took Battle there. But
And then Battle into the.
Yeah.
yes, Battle, and then it's Mason Lane is right off of Battle, and then there's Bailey Lane, and Bailey Lane, 190.
Yeah, I know where Bailey is.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
between Battle and Bailey.
Okay.
There's
I
Mason,
think I've
and it's a
walked in.
little road that just dead end.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Curious where.
yeah, and this is at the end at the cul-de-sac of Mason Lane.
We used to know where all the streets were.
Right.
We don't.
I know, too many subdivisions, right? Not like, yeah.
What was their motivation for this? Just to clean it up, or do they care about
Yeah, I don't know.
native plants?
Well, it's a little bit of mixed bag. They're not interested in getting rid of the bush, and I was like, that's invasive.
But it's so pretty.
Yeah.
And all of that right now.
So they don't want
I
the-
don't think it's from trimming my cultivator.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
always had one cultivator.
really?
But no, it was long before.
Yeah. And so I think it's more which invasives they don't like multiflora rose are very prickery, but burnt English is pretty, and
Okay.
so it's a little bit
Actually, I
selective.
think
But
my husband cut them all down.
the ugly invasives, we're getting rid of the ugly invasives. And Barberry brings like ticks. It's like ticks hotel.
Really?
Yeah.
So speaking
That's, like,
of
crazy.
which, and I don't usually when we have a big agenda, but it was in the paper in the pictures, the Conservation Commission, and we always forget we totally bogged down in wetlands, but we're conservation also. Nearby town, they were out there with students handing barberry bushes and saying we're trying to reduce the tick population. I thought,
Oh wow.
you're not going to do it by digging up a couple of bushes in the woods, that because that's where mice live or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a haven because nothing wants to
But
get
this
in
is
there.
what the Conservation Commission was out
Oh,
there
funny.
hand digging in the
Oh, wow.
woods
Hopefully they
somewhere.
checked for ticks after.
I was just
That-
I just
yeah.
walked in. I'm like, oh, I didn't look myself over.
Well, and one of the kids was saying,
Gotta get
never thought about, having to look for ticks or whatever. And it's like, yeah, well, that's what, she
These
was
last 2
dressed
years have been
appropriately.
awful. Just
He had like
Yeah.
short sleeves and ripped jeans.
After a nest once of ticks.
Ew.
I was covered in them. They haven't gotten into me yet, but they were tiny too.
Oh yeah. It's like, is that a freckle or?
I
I
treat my
used to live
clothes
in
that I
Waterford.
walk
Oh,
on
yeah?
roads with.
And when I gave my kids a bath, they would have ticks right on the top of their heads, behind their ears,
Yeah, you like
and
all
one went under my boob.
the good thing you found.
People watching on you. Probably not.
Maybe they should tune in.
So, if you'd ever like to take on some projects as a conservation, we can go out and start digging up barberry bushes.
I know. Thankless work.
They're in the playgrounds
There's
or
one of
something.
those in my garden too. It was like that was put in before I realized it was.
Right. I know because that's another one. Can be fall and it has these cute little leaves and.
I don't even know what it looks like. Now I gotta look.
A
just
little
prickly.
seedling is really like cute. I'm like, oh, what's this? And then it's like, oh no, it's evil. Yeah, the
Once you
thorns
learn
are,
about it.
the thorns are no good.
Okay, so are we going to
Great, we
decide
have
this
a
is a jurisdictional ruling?
So yeah, the lane is figuring.
I don't think we know enough about it.
Joan went out there, or Joanna went out there today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you wanted a compromise could say if there's any aspects of this you think might not be kind of weed those out and say your items are permitted as of right, but these we'd want you to come back for a permit, give us more maybe because that way they could maybe get started on some of the simple things before the next meeting. But if there's anything that gives you pause, because I'll admit I wasn't really quote because I think he sort of included that because it had the client's signature in it, but I focused on the application. But I see what Joan is mentioning, like selectively remove saplings along the way. You don't want to clear all the vegetation along the stream. I know they said selective. In the application, they talk more like restricting.
Because if we approve this,
Yeah.
We can't like anything, right?
Well, we could have put it as a jurisdiction exempt, except for that part where they'd have to go back and get a permit to selective.
You're right, though. We can't make conditions, but we could specify what things are exempt and what things are not exempt. That would need a permit. So you could always say, like, you know, we find that the removal of invasive plants and the pruning and removal of dead or hazardous trees,
branches, not trees,
branches, and pine tree,
right?
As specified in the application, are exempt, but clearing along the stream
or any wetland boundary.
Yeah.
Clearing up to wetland boundaries or water courses.
Yeah, would not be exempt and is not permitted. That could be a fair thing, and I could tell them, all right, here's where they drew the line, like what's exempt, what's not. But that's a good point. Like that quote makes it sound a little heavy-handed than what they said in the application. So I shouldn't have given us that. Because otherwise it sounded like, you know.
Well, then we could say that it's a permitted use to remove dead branches and invasive vegetation.
Like the two dead trees, they like mentioned an ash tree and the pine tree.
And the ash tree, the pine tree, one dead white ash. They're going to prune the burning bush for balance.
They're going to prune the burning.
Yeah, they're going to prune it. Yeah, that's what they have. They want the guy.
I had burning bush. I liked it.
Yeah, they're pretty. I didn't realize they were invasive till I saw them all over the woods in my backyard. Spread every year, but they're gorgeous.
Well, they say cultivated ones they say are sterile, but then it seems like they end up crossbreeding or something happens. I don't know.
They find a way.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we could state that and say permitted is
selective removal of saplings.
removing vegetation to wetlands boundaries, or, water courses or whatever, and removing the dead and declining hemlock. Oh, you said that was out of the wetland.
I think so.
So we don't need to.
I don't think hemlocks are usually in the wetland.
Yep, I do.
Who made that motion?
Okay.
So that we can know whether
the jurisdictional rule is that a permitted use of right for the removal of plants, the pine and ash tree, and dead branches. However, selectively removing saplings or vegetation along the waterway or up to the wetland boundary is not considered a permitted right.
I mean, it could be that selectively leaving,
without further information.
but it says to enhance the natural aesthetic. What does that mean? Yeah. Everything so we can
see the
so maybe like if it's very selective, that might be maybe instead of selective clearing, should we say clearing along
the stream?
Because maybe if it's like a couple of things, but I could go walk it and kind of see what he's thinking.
Those saplings are what's that one that grows 10 feet a year? Sumac.
Oh yeah, I have those. Yeah.
You can't get rid of those.
And then they come up in my yard too.
They want to do what the governor did.
What?
Do what the governor did.
Yeah.
They're the whole. Right to have the view. Yes.
No, we didn't do it for a
year. That sounds good. Anyway.
Okay.
Did someone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
And Joanna can rewrite it if there's anything.
I send them to her. She does.
Okay,
But
all
you
those-
do an
I
excellent
review
job.
it. I'll review it all tomorrow
all
again.
those
Yeah.
in-
Excellent.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 We'll finish up new business. The use of the conservation.
So I worked out with Roland and Brian from finance a way to
We
pay
thought
the
we had funding for that, the water quality testing and the scanner.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make it into the budget.
Didn't
Oh,
make
it
it into
didn't?
the budget.
Won't it be in the next budget? We'll have to play this game next year too.
Yeah. So Joanna, we will, just like we did last year, to use our conservation funds because no one has come forward asking for any financial help.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then some money from other areas in the land use department to come up with what
$11.50.
$11.50 for that to use towards the testing.
And at one point, we had started giving kind of like a token $300. Our conservation other line had been in $650, so we'd have some money for like scouts if they had a project forth, and some money for water quality mine. But really, the $300 doesn't even pay for like a fraction of the supplies. And then we asked her to sites and do bacteria monitoring, and she's actually going to be purchasing new equipment for the bacteria testing. But so the $11.50 at least just covers materials. But so how we have it now is we'd use the $650 that's in our conservation other in our budget, and then $400 that we have remaining in dues, and then the other $100 Todd said we could take out of the land professional services, that there's some money left over. Together we come to the $11.50, and then I just have to submit a purchase order and check requests. Now that we're June, it's getting down to
Dr. Martin, she was on my case when I saw her.
Oh, she was so excited.
She was like, can you tell them I really need that money?
Oh, did she? She was really at the BioBlitz, and she was excited someone was able to come. So
Yeah, it was interesting.
Did the kids do a good job?
They did do a good job, yeah. Very
Okay, so we
interesting.
need a motion to use our conservation funds for Dr. Martin's testing.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Did, trying to think, did Drew and, we had a meeting in May, right?
No,
No,
we had
didn't.
April.
Okay. Did Drew and I go to the Board of Selectmen meeting before or after?
I think after our
Okay, all
April.
right, so I
meeting.
didn't I'll do that.
Oh,
after.
right.
Okay. Let's go back to old business for discussion possible decision application 803, 449 55 drainage easement, Town of Summers, which we got a detailed pictures and reports.
Oh, this is the one
People's
for the town,
driveways were washing out.
Yeah, I
buildings,
remember.
and we vote on it, but I don't think we
I don't think
needed
there's a
any.
problem,
We didn't
right?
need any more info or anything.
Yeah,
on
anyone
it.
need a refresher? Everybody felt good about it last month?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
So that was a motion to approve.
Okay. Make a motion to approve application 803, 449 to 55 Billings Road drainage easement, pipe section of the water course to eliminate washouts based on the lane. The commission finds that the applicant submitted all necessary application materials pursuant to section 211-7 of the regulations, including but not limited to section 211-7E, alternatives considered and rejected. The commission did not find the proposed activity significant, and the commission finds that the criteria set forth in section 7-10B have been met by the applicant.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No audience. Staff
Yeah, we
report.
seem to lose them as soon as we go
Yeah,
through.
right. Or even before. Yeah, so I guess a few things have come up in the last 2 months. Let's see, I issued a minimal impact for a patio and 2 in the Upland Review area at 7 Meadowbrook.
Wherever that is.
Yeah.
We don't, that's
Okay. It's a weird one. Most of the that was encroaching is like lawn, but there was a wetland permit for the pool, and this is going to be just above the pool, and because it's within 100 feet, but it was more than 25 anyway. I issued a minimal impact permit for that, and anyway, so there's been a couple things with the King and Bradley subdivision. Everyone's always, it's like a new subdivision, but still everyone has a detached garage and everything. So at 44 Bradley, they wanted to put in this large detached garage that had like, a patio, and there was a lot to it. And the grading was, and part of the building were going to be in the Upland Review area, so I was negotiating with them and got them to move it enough to where it's not an Upland Review area, so it doesn't have to before you, and it's further from the wetland, so it's better in the long run. But so it was a little negotiation, and then also in that same subdivision, King Road, they had a building permit application for an in-ground pool. The pool's going to be outside the Upland Review area, but in review, I observed that the limit of clearing near the wetland hadn't really respected. It got a little overzealous, not wetland, but hadn't held that line on limit of clearing. So as part of the pool permit, required that they replant that area. So I'll be like keeping an eye on that.
So we didn't require markers?
It does have markers. So, and they didn't clear into the wetland, so they're before the marker.
Okay.
Yeah, the markers are at the wetland line, and so it's kind of that gray area. But I'm like, all right, they just like moved into the house, and already they're cleared more than. Then there's been a few things involving invasive plants lately that, while we're kind of on that topic, without going into too much detail, I guess there's like 3 different properties in town I've been kind of working with where there's a new development. Seems like we should be doing our best to not have like noxious weeds and invasive and new. So one is like the self-storage Lenore. We had a large bond held till they like finished the detention, all stabilized, and I've been trying to release that bond forever. And every time they tell me to come take another look, there's like a new problem, and it's never like clear. And 2 months ago or something, when I went out to, and they had grow, there was like trees in the basement. I'm like, this is a stormwater structure you're supposed to maintain and mow, and it's supposed to function. So now that they mow, everything's now. And there was a whole planting plan. It's supposed to be all these nice plants, and now everything's mugwort. So I'm like, so I'm trying to work with them.
That was all part of the approval,
right?
Was that they were going to do things and they didn't do it.
I think they probably did do it, but then just didn't maintain it at all.
Okay.
Anyway, so now I'm like, how do I release a bond when now the entire area is an invasive plant instead of all these plants planted? But so I guess stay tuned. Really, the new house on the corner of Turnpike and 190, right along the road, there was weed and mugwort, and not weed in particular. It's like a threat to the road and infrastructure. It can grow up like through concrete. And so I'm like, all right, as part of your lawn bond, like, can you take these invasives also? Like, it's a brand new house and property, but. And then on 39 Pheasant, which we issued a wetland permit for a few months back, there's someone purchased that property and has been moving forward. And one condition was that they put together an invasives plan with them on it, gave them some resources, and they just gave a narrative and explained use, and we, worked on that a little bit, and they're aware of all the invasives, and I talked, and they've already put in their erosion controls, and they want to start clearing over there. And then let's see. Oh, over on on the cul, there's a raw lot that was part of the subdivision but never built. I just went out there today with the buyer of that lot who's building a house for his daughter, and we talked about how far he could. That property abuts Dan's old property on 41 Wood Road that Adam Van Wingerden bought, and he's building a house on. That property in back is like all wetlands going back to Grower Direct, and this property abuts that. I know it's wetlands like right at the edge of the property. So anyway, we're talking about like where he could clear up to, because he's not ready to submit the building permit application. He wants to clear trees and decide where he wants to put the house. So I gave him some limit where he could cut, and that he can't stump. He could like cut trees. I walked the to see where there were wetlands or not wetlands, just to like give him some leeway to cut.
Across from you.
Where is that?
Yeah, it's.
I want to go home.
Yeah, it's it's part of the Whispering Woods subdivision.
The end of Twin.
Yeah, the end of Twin Brook.
Dead End Road.
What?
Dead End Road.
It goes up. Does it go up or what?
And
Isn't that on the opposite side of Wood from?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
St.
That's
Tommy
up to
sold
the
land
down
down
there. I
there.
get that.
yeah, it's
It might be Twin Brook, I'm not sure.
Twin Brook is part of Whispering Woods. And
yeah.
it backs up to some of the.
So here's the corner of Wood and Turnpike where Tulloch just was building,
Right.
and then there's Twin Brook, kind of between Rosehaven and.
Yeah. I don't own that land anymore.
No. That's the one Adam Van Wingerden is building on.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't do anything.
so anyway, for Twin Brook, there weren't wetlands on 61 Twin Brook, but I know there's wetlands just at the edge of the property, basically.
Right, yeah.
So we were working on like what he could cut, because I was trying to keep them 100 feet from wetlands. So they're like just off property, which that's always like tough to explain. Because they can't delineate the wetlands, and and for like Adam's project, they didn't delineate there because he wasn't going to go anywhere near there. We just assumed that was all
That's where it
wetland.
is.
I did like a sanity check to like just try to keep him out
But I think Twin Brook.
of for now, but eventually he'll have to have a surveyed plan and everything.
Tommy sold
And then otherwise, the last thing I had was 6 Main Street. That one was one you've seen several times because it's gotten extended beyond what normally would be possible, because the legislature keeps like adding and so finally they actually submitted a building permit application, and this one involves a wetland crossing right by the road and then goes way up, and it's a steep driveway and like winding. And, looking at the plan, so it has wetland approval, but I still review for
Is that the piece of woods there just before on 190? 46.
It is wooded at the road, and there's like an intermittent stream.
That's like up near where Lucas Cherry lives.
It's near what road is that? Near is right near the Stafford line, like because it's before Randall Road, like
before. There's a bear on there.
Oh, before meaning side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it is like just barely in town.
So is that not too far past the fields where the cows are on the left?
I think that's right. And I haven't been up to it, but from the by the road, by the crossing, alongside the driveway, it's 2-to-1 slopes. And so while they have wetland reviewing it for erosion control, and like they're saying they're going to seed it and have it permanently seeded. I don't know if I can get grass to stabilize that. It's so steep. So I'm going to go back to the erosion control manual, and I already asked them to add practices to the plan for stabilization. It was erosion control blanket, which that's just for erosion control during construction, not for like permanent stabilization. So anyway, I'm gonna like ask them for more revisions, but one that has a wetland permit that they are finally looking to build. So they already do have wetlands approval. They just need to like improve plan for stabilizing the site. But I think that's everything.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I realized I was
What
going
happens
back.
when we miss a month?
I was going back at my calendar, like, oh no, I have to go back to. But it was still worth it to not have a meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't have
Well, it was
any-
one that I was going to miss, so you know.
I know. That's like, oh good. Didn't have to do minutes. Okay, perfect.
All right, so I move that we accept the report.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I guess that's a chicken. Is that shed? There's a chicken coop attached to it also. Drew said.
Which shed?
At the corner of Turnpike and Wood.
Oh,
there, where
right.
They built that. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
they have-
noticed. To the right of the house, crack wetlands. They put it up,
Oh,
and there's like a fence around it, and like from here to.
I meant to
those
bring that
chairs,
up too.
It's all cabbage and everything. And Joanna just found out that it was approved in the land use department, but it was never sent to her.
It was put through as a zoning permit, and apparently with the new online permit, because it used to be any permits like we physical like piece of paper and a folder, and we'd physically send it to everyone's desk. Everything's online, and the system's supposed to automatically task people. And I wonder if it's not set up for zoning permits to go to me because it was small enough that it didn't need a building permit, just a permit, because the building official doesn't have to approve it, just the like application needs to be approved, but that should come to wetlands, or that should come to me for wetland sign off. So I left a note for the land use technician and for Jen today when I found it saying like this wetland violation. Now we've got a building right at the edge of the wetland, because I looked at the plan they submitted and like it shows it literally on the wetland line, and they submitted it and it was approved like right away and never was so, and you could see the wetland line on the plan, but it might not be obvious. It doesn't like isn't geared in that direction, but anyway, so it's frustrating, and I'm not sure where to go from here because they did apply for a permit,
And they were approved,
right?
so what can you
So
do?
they didn't like do something without a permit. It just
Right.
it was more of like an error of the town that it didn't go through the proper
I
channels.
mean, the only thing would be just to contact them and please don't like dump animal waste in the wetland so close. I didn't know what was there, but I saw that it was fenced, and I thought, what sort of animal are they keeping there? And they're going to go out and just chuck it behind. And Drew said he thought that there were chickens. I don't know why you have a shed, but he said he thought there was also a
Oh,
coop
okay.
attached to it. So have you noticed any critters?
Yeah, they have like one thing.
An assortment.
in that one
One-
area to
well,
the
it's
right
one-
of the house?
It's a miniature cow.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Well, that sounds
That's
adorable,
so
but
cute.
And they
For
have,
what use are they really?
and they have
is there a miniature horse?
The dog. They have one in the house.
A little Clydesdale.
and they have
Now I have to.
Miniature horse?
huh? No,
Miniature horse?
no,
That was my
no.
wishful thinking.
Just a
No,
miniature cow
like-
or what? A pig? No?
No, they're too dark.
Chicken.
Yeah, chickens, I think.
Just the cow and the chickens?
And then there's a what do they call them? Goat.
Oh,
2 goats.
Probably got them from up the road.
I mean, it's not they have heard of stuff in there. You know, it's just they like one of this. I never
It's
seen.
just the wetlands are right there.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
right on.
And I just cleaning and
Now it's gonna
dumping,
become a farm,
because it's
and
like,
then it's gonna be.
yeah.
And
When you have, how many kinds of animals like that can you have?
acre.
Yeah. They
Um,
don't have a lot.
But, and I've been meaning to follow up with them anyway, because I already reached out because they're like roughing in a driveway off of Wood Road, and that never permitted, and it's like right land. So they didn't dare anything, but I could see where they cut the grass and have like a driveway kind of roughed. And I already had reached out to Dave saying like, you need to come in to revise your wetland permit if you want a driveway. And that was a while ago.
I
And
thought they were going to put a
yeah, they are putting a barn there.
horses.
That's for the horse.
Yeah.
The big horse.
And that that I'm pretty sure was part of the original.
Only those little peepees and all that stuff.
Yeah. That was on their original plan of barn, but not the driveway. We're close to the wetland, but anyway, so I need to follow
They just want a mini phone, right?
or no, the house driveway was approved, but
The barn
then
driveway.
it looks like they want to put in a driveway Wood Road also.
Maybe
but
if they
like-
just think it's a dirt driveway, they don't.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and the huge piles of dirt. What are
Right.
they filling?
I think it was like he was trying to like soften the grade off of Wood Road. So it's just, annoying because they have a whole plan, and then when you just kind of go rogue and don't follow your plan, it's crazy. But it's like, here's what you actually want to do, so they can like that in their plans. But
If you're considering can't you have cow? I mean, this is big stuff, but you can run your cows through the wetlands.
Miniature cow? Is that farming?
Well,
That's
they're
like having a
dainty.
dog.
You go by there.
Less impact.
But it's like having a big dog, those little cows. I mean,
Yeah,
some
it is.
people, they have a house and everything.
Yeah, and then they have to
Do
wipe
they?
them.
They are.
Yeah, TikTok's making all these animals. Like everyone's getting money. It's just
oh god,
out of control.
Raccoons.
And they don't know how to care for these
yeah,
animals.
all the exotic
It's
things.
just-
Do
Well,
we
they
have,
say pigs are
Okay.
very smart, so a lot of them have
I
those.
included that as
What do you
number
call
eight.
those pigs? They have them in the
Pot
house.
belly
Yeah, pot
Pigs.
belly.
Pigs,
they're just, they're not
If you get
soft.
mad at them, you
I
eat them.
mean an animal that's soft to pat.
They're not.
No. Did you ever pat a pig? They're not soft.
They own quite a bit of land there, and not just that corner.
Oh, that corner line.
All the way up to our property in the back of all
So they
those
probably
houses.
More
He's
plants.
got enough to do the farm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
on Wood Road?
I
Yeah.
think so.
You think so?
So far.
We have correspondence and bills.
No, we didn't
Oh,
have
okay.
any legal notices or anything.
Oh, good, no bills.
Okay.
I put a Journal Inquirer thing in there just in case. I was like,
I forgot to bring my minutes with
Now
me.
we'll have one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking to see if we might be next month's meeting, but we've got number one.
I didn't find any minutes.
Number one, and it's number two.
oh,
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
under
I'm
new
I'm sorry.
business.
You're right. Yeah, yeah.
So we
One.
really only have number 1 and number 4.
Right. Number 4 is going to have an actual presentation.
Because I got a cottage, but it's in Woodstock, so if I had to, I could come for, it's the 3rd. Why did
is
we
this
do
July?
Oh, July
Oh,
3rd.
God. Oh, might be it. We might need to figure this
We want to have a
It's
special
July.
meeting. in
I'll
between.
send you a
like
note.
the
I'll let
next
you know
week or
tomorrow. I can't access my calendar.
Yeah, you could do it anytime 2 weeks from now. There, you could have a special meeting
July
instead.
3rd.
And if any applications come in the meantime, they would still be automatically received on the 3rd, even if we cancel it. But
July 3rd?
we
The
can't.
third
I
is
have
the
a
yeah.
dentist
I think I
appointment in the
yeah. I think I'm
afternoon.
leaving that.
No, they don't want to come.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know.
Did you
I don't know what they're
Appointment
doing.
is- I'll check with Drew.
They
too.
might just
Yeah.
go
You just
in.
couldn't receive any
Yeah,
new
that's-
applications then, but they'd still received, even if we cancel the July 3rd meeting. But yeah, I mean, because one is very simple, that number one.
Already done. Difference doesn't make.
But yeah, I know.
It's not like we'd be holding.
Right.
Yeah.
Although they're now not wanting to put up that gazebo, even though that's like, who cares? They don't want to do it until they have a permit, so they're like waiting.
They
to
seem
put-
like they're very nice.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to ruffle any more feathers, so I'm like, no one's gonna stop you from putting up the gazebo now, but I know they're like waiting on the approval before they do it, so they might.
Well, they don't have the permit yet either. They're waiting for the guiding.
And so and then we'll have the presentation. I could, if we come up with a date, I could check with Russo and
Maybe it's not going to be a problem getting if Cam and if Drew's.
Oh,
going
yeah.
to. I mean, I if necessary, I'm not going to come down for agenda though.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we could see if more comes in, but if you did, if there was kind of a consensus of people to spend, we could look into that too sooner. But and I could check with Russo to see if they went to a special meeting instead, since we've received
Is
them.
that for Lindy Farm?
Yeah.
Okay.
We used to have some meetings out here, didn't we?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to.
I know. This one though, we're gonna have a presentation from
Yeah.
Jared Russo, but
Yeah.
as long as they
It's
can
not
make
just
it.
a quick vote.
Yeah.
That we could do for the field.
Yeah.
Okay, so did we?
I didn't see the minutes.
I
Did you
didn't
the
see
minutes?
But this
Oh,
is
because it was
from
remember-
April.
Back to April because we didn't
Yeah.
meet last
Oh, you sent
month.
them.
I don't remember on
Oh. Well, let me.
I kind of remember. I didn't grab them when
I don't have it.
I don't need any.
Actually, I thought I had.
remember any.
My son couldn't find it, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't remember getting it.
Really?
Yeah.
It would have been way back, like
The
middle of April.
Yeah, the middle of
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
But oh, I do have one more. Actually, two more. Yeah. Just need like a commission member report section to his Sydney summer stream team presentation, and then Joan and Drew and or whoever went to the selectmen's.
Oh yeah.
I would say approve the minutes as written.
Yeah, I would too.
I'll
It's
second
gonna
that.
take me another.
I know.
I wrote it.
In favor.
I just
Aye.
copied
Aye.
it.
And just quickly, when Drew and I had to go to the selectmen, they said this is an annual thing now.
Yeah.
And they were very receptive to everything I had to say, and we gave Kim, the administrative assistant or whatever, the flyer. I don't know if you've looked at your mail yet, but we got the
Yeah, it was nice.
but we got that newsletter from the select office include the flyer,
Oh,
and they told us they're absolutely going to do it.
Destiny.
Is that the new
Yeah,
one?
if you notice, they didn't put the figure in.
Just
All
put
they
a
put
QR
was,
code.
if you're planning to build a shed or a pool, move dirt, you may need a permit.
Shortened it.
Scan the QR code. Now, I didn't even know how to scan the QR code. Well, I scanned it, and then I had to text my daughter, and I said, what do I do now? I open it. So I had to do it again, so now I'll know, except if I don't use it for a year, I'll forget.
Right?
But nobody's going to do that.
no.
No.
If it
Especially
if it
people
was
getting
and you open it, you might glance at it.
Right.
Nobody's going to do that. I
No.
mean, we can put it on the website and put it on Facebook, but that's not what we wanted. We wanted it, and they told us, and I spoke with Kim about it afterwards, and she says, "Oh yeah," does it.
And I
so
emailed her the
Yeah, because I
file.
just got that. in the
yes,
mail.
I looked at it thinking I was going to find the flyer, and that's all I found.
They fill it with Summers Rec
There's
stuff.
a whole page about
So it's on the
recycling.
page.
Yeah.
QR to get your new recycling kit for food waste. And then, there's just other being recorded, other stuff.
We're going to have to go to school before you get.
Can I just say that real quick?
I'm going to email Kim tomorrow and that we're disappointed that we were
Yeah.
told and had been told back when I was with Tim Keeney last fall that we were working on a flyer. Could you please put it in the newsletter? And he said, absolutely. And Drew and I were at the meeting in April.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were, so when you click on, when you do go to that QR code, that comes up. No, yeah.
Yeah, but nobody knows how to
nobody's,
do that.
Nobody's going to do it.
Yeah, I never do
So anyway, I'm
No,
going to
it's
ask, and I'm going to
page.
say, or if it's posted there, please print it in this newsletter. We're getting so many violations. We
Oh,
need to
it's
put it in front of people. Everybody in
That's
town
on
gets
here.
that.
It's like,
Not everybody in town is going to do
The
the
big one.
QR code. So anyway, Drew,
I didn't see that.
the issue of more hours for Joanna because she feels that she's being pulled in too many different directions, and they seem very receptive. However, the issue is
at least the name.
the conservation district can for any more hours is probably no. So, but it's we presented it to the selectmen. We mentioned it to Joanne and saying, I don't know if she even wants to work any more hours here. And I said, well, it might be a moot point. We can't spare her. We can't get her for any more hours anyway. He brought that up again.
Oh.
when I spoke with him recently.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm like pretty flat out at in general.
Well,
but
that's I said. I think they're a skeletal crew
Yeah.
over there too. So anyway, that was. We brought up again the Scannick River and the high E. coli readings and all that, and we just need to make sure that it does get posted when we get high readings because it's going to be early this summer with the heat and ponds are already getting stagnant.
I know, and it doesn't sound like much yet over at IFO. So I don't know if they'll be posting or like in testing because the problem was the lab and public health.
No, I think
certification.
the town is responsible for doing that through the
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
But Summersville Pond, because there's a lot of people. I'm wondering all these people that go fishing on the Scannick River wouldn't eat any fish that comes out of there. But I don't think the people realize certainly. And I also don't know. I'd need to do some research to find out are the fish contaminated. But I read an article recently about fish in Connecticut, like in all the rivers, and most of them are like only eat once a year.
Is it mercury?
Eat it once a month. Oh no, there were all
the
kinds
microbe.
of lists, every kind of fish, every river, and every single river was like, don't eat this fish, don't eat this one more than once a month. It's like, if I can't eat it more than once a month, I'm not going to eat it,
Well, they're saying you get farm raised. That's the way to eat food. Your fish.
Where else was it going back towards Hamden? Where was it?
I don't think Dr. Martin has determined that yet. Oh,
And she was saying her like the tests she has to look at new are like very broad and so that's what she wants to buy new equipment this year, like for the nutrients because right now it's like I think it's sticks or whatever, so you can't really get that detailed.
But also, it's almost the test. The next step is out of her hands. Joanna was saying that
To identify the
they've
source.
created some committee.
Well, actually, she's involved though. There's a watershed-based plan on the Scantic, so it's like Connecticut River Conservancy and St. Joseph's are like working together on it, and like Conservation District are going to be involved in some of it. Actually, I meant to ask you guys too, because they want to have a representative from each town, and they're going to be involved kind of like as a conservation district. So I was trying to think if there's someone else. I know it's like maybe, but I'm interested in. I don't know that stuff. Drew
doesn't know what.
I know.
Yeah,
Drew,
the new conservation and development that they were asking for somebody from each.
Oh.
I just thought about this the other day because that was months ago, and Drew had inquired what's the commitment.
Yes.
I don't think anybody got back to him on
Wasn't
that.
she working with high school kids?
They're
Yeah,
doing,
she did. That's the thing
but
that
they're
I went
doing a different brook up near the high school.
Gulf Brook, right? I think.
But you know, you wonder if you couldn't have tapped into some of them, help her do some of the water collection, you know. But that would be up to her. I mean, if responsible students that were interested.
Internshippers.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like next year the stream team is going to do a bio of the campus. So that's really where they go out and identify as many plants as they can. Much time, so it's out there identify. So then they can keep track of what gives them a baseline to compare it to in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't there something now that they're doing to clean it?
They're gonna like do this water and come up with like potential projects to improve it.
Yeah.
But it's not happening yet.
It's like they're just starting to get going, so then they're trying to form a advisory group. So they want to have at least someone from each town represented.
Like to represent.
No.
Put you in a boat with a and get
No,
the
thank
And then
you.
if I could to get Pleasant View Farms included into their watershed-based plan, because projects like what they want to do down the stream. But in the meantime, they got funding through NRCS. Like, oh, well, that kind of thing is what you want included as a project to do in the future, funding for it. But maybe they'll have something else that they want to do too, because they do have the stream continues and it goes to Abbey Brook. But
Well, let me know what the deal is, because I can't picture Candace volunteering. I could ask her, and everybody else is pretty much tapped what they're doing, and especially if Drew ends up doing the plan of conservation and development.
yeah, right. I'll ask how often for plan of development, what's that commitment like, and then
Unless you were
the
interested,
Scantic.
I said it depends what it involved. I asked her to find more information. 3 meetings a month, no.
No, yeah. I
It's
doubt
3 a
it.
year, maybe.
Yeah.
Like if it's like quarterly, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping it'd be like quarterly. But
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I feel like I just went.
I know. And like, was I supposed to do something?
All right.
Okay, so motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and disconnect one, please.